Hey everybody, it's me. So, I know usually I've been mostly posting songs here lately. Um, but yeah, I've just been doing some paranormal research and, well, I realized something. In my old house, I was actually haunted by a poltergeist. Now, I don't expect a lot of people to believe me. Most people are skeptical these days. But I'm gonna just start off with telling the history of the house. Well, the house is somewhat old now. Not too old. But to begin with, my grandmother owns it. Well, she used to be married to this man. Give me just a second. I can't remember his name. I think it was like Fred or something like that. But, it was something along those lines. Anyways, he used to be abusive to my grandmother and my mom and my aunt. Well, a couple years later, they are divorced. It didn't end out, or it didn't end well between my grandmother and him. So I really believe that's what started it off. Well, my grandmother got married to who I consider to be my grandfather. And, for a while, they were doing pretty good. Well, like most couples do, they started arguing a good bit. Well, I guess the poltergeist really started coming into play and started to feed off of the negative energy. Well, see, I was born and I lived there with my grandparents for a good little while. Well,
I tend to keep my patrons private.
Years pass. Me and my cousin one night, we was just talking about scary stories that he's heard. And, it could have been my childish imagination, but, I was really scared. And I swear something was watching me. Well, I actually used to sleep in my grandparents' bedroom because, well, I was pretty deathly afraid of the dark. Oh, that's weird. Okay then. But anyways, my grandmother and my cousin, who was living there at the time, actually got into an argument and, well, just more negative energy. in the house. So she kicks him out, and, well, that created more hard feelings between my grandfather and my grandmother, because it was his grandson. Well, years go by, they get divorced, and a lot of stuff had happened at the house. So my grandmother had moved out and was living with her boyfriend. But she allowed me, my mom, my sisters, my other cousin, who's actually blood related, and my biological father to live there. Well, my mom and my biological dad actually don't get along too well. And, they were arguing, and one night, my cousin and me were sitting at my house. Well, we're just sitting there, I'm playing my game, she's sitting in the living room watching a movie. So, she comes in my room and says somebody's trying to get in. I'm like, okay, well, let's call Mom and Dad. So, we do, and, at the time, she assumed it was, my cousin assumed it was my grandfather. And, I didn't believe it, because, he'd been like my father since mine was a bit of a deadbeat, if I'm being honest. Ah, Christ, all these Dremora. So yeah, we hear footsteps, well, like real heavy footsteps, more like they were wearing boots, walking in the hallway. Now, if I remember correctly, it was pretty rainy outside, rain equals mud. So, we go back out into the living room to check. The doors are locked. Nobody's been in. Nobody has a key besides my grandmother and my parents. I think I even had a key, but it was in my room with me. So yeah, that creeped us out a good bit. And, well, after that experience ended, eventually my mom and my dad split back up. And, well, he goes right back to being a deadbeat who wasn't in my life. And, I had held on to a lot of anger from that experience. I'd say that's pretty reasonable, But, so, years go by, and it just seems like everybody that lives in the house is, like, just destined to be at each other's throats. Like, something was forcing us to just be against each other all the time. Well, years go by, people change. And, we wind up living back in my grandmother's house. And this time, my mom has a boyfriend. Well, needless to say, they had a very toxic relationship. A lot of screaming, arguing, the whole 9 yards. Just creating more negative energy for this poltergeist to feed on. And, at the time, things began happening. I was home alone one time, and just out of the blue, it's like something straight up punched my window blinds. Like, nothing was touching it, no fans were on, no nothing like that. And I was just so shocked that that had actually happened. I just couldn't believe it. Well, after that, a lot of my stuff would go missing. I would put it in one spot, and, well, it would wind up somewhere totally different. Good Jesus, it's like a bowling ball. But, yeah, so, I found that kind of odd, and at the time, the ghost, or we called it a ghost, just becoming a little mischievous, and, we kind of started using it as like a joke. But, I would have friends over, and they would actually see a dark figure in the living room sometimes. Like, they would actually see him just standing there, the light on and everything. Or at least I'm assuming it was a he. But yeah, they said it was really tall. Well, more time goes by, and things between my mom and her toxic boyfriend just kept getting worse and worse, to the point violence would be threatened and all that. Well, it kept getting worse and worse. And, I would occasionally hear knocks. My dogs would just, out of nowhere, go berserk for seemingly no reason at all. And, I would go check outside. Nobody would be there. I would check the whole house. Nothing inside. So I just figured it was my dogs being weird. Well, things just kept getting worse and worse. And I would actually start hearing footsteps through the night. I used to stay up pretty late. And by that I mean I would usually go to bed around like 1 through 3 a.m. in the morning. Okay, so eventually, for the better, my mom and her toxic boyfriend actually wound up splitting up. Everybody in the house was glad about it. But I don't know, it's just like I could still feel a presence there. Well, my girlfriend actually well, girlfriend at the time, she had done some kind of spell to try to get rid of it. It actually didn't work. So I'm assuming either something went wrong with the spell, or all the negative energy in that house was just too strong for her to get rid of. But I'm not exactly sure. I'm not a demonologist or an expert on the paranormal. But yeah, and after they split up, it seems like things would just keep going missing. You know, now just being mischievous again, instead of actually creeping everybody in the house the hell out. Well, my mom brought another boyfriend into the house, and you know, he said there was a ghost in that house. See, he didn't know any of the past of the house. He just felt a presence in the house. And well, he was right. You know. And I'ma just add this real quick. He never actually, well, we never got the house blessed or had a priest come out or anything like that. So, you know, me and him haven't always been on the best of terms. You know, we've had our fair share of falling outs, as well as me and my two sisters. You know, we've always had falling outs, you know, but that's just the sibling rivalry that exists. So, yeah, eventually I moved out, and well, that's the last time I've experienced anything like that. So either it is still in that house, or I don't know, I guess it's stuck with somebody, but nobody I know's actually been experiencing anything out of the normal. Alright, can y'all stop trying to kill me and just make me pay my bounty? Like, what the hell? Why is the Jarl after me? What the This don't make any sense. Thanks, Bethesda. But yeah, that's my story. And yeah. So I hope you all have a good day, and peace.